Serious side effects include
Come on,
increased
let's go.
can be found. Stop Jardians and call your doctor right away if you have nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, tiredness, trouble breathing, or increased ketones. Jardians may cause dehydration that can suddenly worsen kidney function and make you feel dizzy, lightheaded, or weak upon standing. General yeast infections in men and women, urinary tract infections, low blood sugar, or a rare life-threatening bacterial infection between and around the anus and genitals can occur. Call your doctor right away if you have fever or feel weak or tired, and pain, tenderness, swelling, or redness in the genital area. Don't use if allergic to Jardians. Stop use if you have a serious allergic reaction. Call your doctor if you have rash, swelling, difficulty breathing, or swallowing. You may have increased risk for lower limb loss. Call your doctor right away if you have new pain or tenderness, sores, ulcers, or infection in your legs or feet.
You could say, I like taking it slow, and CKD slow is the way to go. Ask your doctor about Jardians and chronic kidney disease today.
What if you could face every day with confidence? Rape puts 65 years of insect science in your hands, so you can protect the ones you love.
Got it!
Rape. Protection for everyone. S.C. Johnson.
Here we go, Pierce. We're getting out of here.
Pierce! No, don't do this!
Open the door!
Listen to me! We can still both get out of here!
We believe is afraid that we will find
What are you doing? No, Pierce!
And
Don't!
yes,
You can still make it out!
We answered all three questions and it's our time to fire with
We put in back-to-back coverage. So now we'll be putting in
Open the
extra
goddamn
OT.
door! That's an order!
We've checked off our to-do list.
Now we're checking off lots of dollar notes.
We've been lazy or taking back lazy.
Like getting coffee from a lazy computer.
Lazy girl.
It's the summer of 1818 in Henderson, Kentucky. Renowned wildlife artist John James Audubon tells naturalist Constantine Rafinesque that he's come across a brand new species of fish, one that is bulletproof. So is there more to this story than meets the eye? It all goes back to Rafinesque's eccentric habits and the time he spent at Audubon's home.
But it turns out Rafinesque was one of history's worst husbands.
According to an account Audubon published years later, one night a field naturalist heard crashing and banging coming from Rafinesque's room. Thinking his guest was in trouble, Audubon rushed to the There he found Rafinesque half naked and wildly attempting to swat at a bat using the host's own rifle.
Rafinesque said he was trying to capture the bat so he could study and analyze it, but what he ended up doing was smashing Audubon's beautiful violin to pieces.
As the story goes, Audubon was so furious that he decided to play the clip on his plane.
Over the next few weeks, Audubon described many animals from the area to Rafinesque, who madly scribbled down these complicated descriptions.
But there was a catch. These creatures only existed in Audubon's imagination. Wanting to get even, the esteemed naturalist went out of his way to persuade Rafinesque that the made-up beasts were real.
Rafinesque saw this dark-colored log on the surface of the water, and he was convinced that it was this totally bogus fish riding a strike.
Rafinesque believed it was the so-called Devil Jack diamond fish. He bought Audubon's fishtail, hook, line, and sinker.
Really pretty scene, guys.
28 different species of animal for Rafinesque to record in his field journal.
Audubon got his revenge.
A short while later, the delighted but fooled Rafinesque left Audubon's home with a field book filled with mythical sounding creatures.
But then, the story took an unexpected turn. Rafinesque shared his so-called findings with the rest of the scientific community.
These ridiculous creatures were being published in journals all over the world.
But the likelihood is that Audubon never meant for these fabricated animals to make their way into the scientific record.
I think Audubon was just plain old trying to have some fun with his friend. He had no idea that it was going to actually have a real effect on natural history.
Martin Raffinesque's field book with his notes on the deadly Jack Diamond fish sits within the collection of the Smithsonian's National Museum of Natural History Archives in Washington, D.C. It recalls a fishy prank pulled by one of history's most revered naturalists. Undercover drug bust to a deadly inferno, a ghostly parallel to a terrifying sea beast. I'm Don Levy, and these are the mysteries at the museum. A woman possessed by a vengeful ghost.
The vengeful ghost.
Please contact the person who
A monstrous beast stalks the rivers of Ohio.
all that was left behind
Wow.
was monstrous creature.
And a strange disappearance on a haunted island. He knew that these men would never leave their place and would never have left the White House alone. Deep in the vaults of the world's greatest institutions lie extraordinary relics and secrets waiting to be revealed. These are mysteries at the museum. The jagged coast of the northeastern United States is known for its treacherous reefs and deadly shoals. Over the years, countless vessels have met their fate in these frigid waters. So it's no surprise that perched on the easternmost point of Long Island, New York, is one of the oldest beacons in the country. Commissioned in 1792 by President George Washington, this is the Montauk Lighthouse. Today, the site is also home to a museum. Here, among the seafaring relics of the region's past, is an artifact linked to a mysterious
I just passed
incident that
Chris
haunts
and
the
Pierce
history books to this very day.
story. I still
The
have
object is about 2.5 feet
Sherry
wide
and
5 feet
Jake's
tall.
storyline,
There's a
and then
copper
after that one is Ada, and then that's it.
big slab of glass.
Okay, Papa.
Te falta entonces.
Yes, sir.
Almost reminds you of
Creo que-
cars and lightning.
Bienvenido.
This item recalls the chilling tale of 3 people who vanished
Oh.
without a trace. This is the story of a lighthouse, a disappearance, and the legend of a dark and distant island. It's December 1900. Lighthouse keeper Joseph Moore is returning to his post after a 2-week break. Moore was excellent at his job. He knew all the tricks of the trade. He took this job very seriously. His lighthouse is perched on a barren island called Eileen Moore. It is 60 miles off the coast of Stour, surrounded by the dark and desolate Atlantic Ocean. In particular, this area was actually very dangerous for vessels. It was very rocky, and if it wasn't for this lighthouse, there would be a lot of shipwrecks. What's more, there are rumors the island is haunted. Because of the remote location and extreme elements, 4 lighthouse keepers are employed there on a rotating schedule. 3 are always on duty, while 1 enjoys a 2-week respite on the mainland. Now Moore is returning to relieve one of his comrades. But as he approaches the lighthouse, he is overcome by a strange sensation that something is terribly amiss. Then he notices the lamp at the top of the tower is out. For this to go dark was unprecedented. He knew immediately that something was wrong. The men are never supposed to let the light dim. The lives of all that sail past are at stake. Moore hurries into the building looking for his fellow keepers. He called out to them. No one responded. There's this very eerie silence. In the living quarters, he finds plates of half-eaten food on the table and an overturned chair, but no sign of the men, who range in age from 28 to 43. All 3 of his comrades have vanished. These 3 men were extremely experienced. He knew that these men would never leave their posts and would never have left the lighthouse alone. By the door, Moore sees a pair of boots and a coat hanging on the rack. Wherever the men went, they seemed to have left in a hurry. It was incredibly cold and often rained here at the lighthouse, so they would never have left the lodgings without their coat and boots. Moore was spooked out. And as if the scene wasn't baffling enough, Moore notices there's something amiss with the timepieces throughout the lighthouse. All the clocks in the house had stopped at the same time at exactly 12 noon. This was an incredibly eerie sight for him to discover. Moore then checks the logbook, where the keepers took careful notes on their daily activities. If anything strange had happened, it would have been here in the logbook. The last entry is dated December 15th, 11 days earlier. It indicates the weather was calm, but the short entry ends with the ominous words, "Dock is overall." At this point, a chill ran down his spine. Moore sends word of the disappearance back to the mainland, where news of the incident triggers much speculation about the fate of the lighthouse keepers.
One of the theories is that one of the men killed the other two and then killed himself. You know, after all, this is very remote, very isolated. People can get in their heads, can get a little crazy.
But this theory has its faults.
There was no murder weapon, there was no blood anywhere, there was just simply nothing to back it up.
Others believe the man may have left the island at gunpoint.
The more exotic theory is the idea that a pirate ship passed along, stopped at the island, and then abducted the men.
But this idea is also dismissed.
It didn't really add up. If they had seen a pirate ship approaching the lighthouse, they would have written it down in the book.
In the absence of a rational explanation, some turn for answers to the supernatural. There have been strange tales surrounding the rocky outcrop for centuries. Some refer to it as the land of fairies and propose that magical creatures could have turned the men into birds. Others maintain it's inhabited by sinister spirits from the underworld, and the keepers have been conscripted into their ranks.
This was an island that was filled with secrets and myths. And now, it seems that the legends are true.
So what really happened to the missing lighthouse keepers? Several days after Moore reported the incident, the superintendent of the Northern Lighthouse Board, a man named Robert Muirhead, arrives on the island to conduct his own investigation.
Muirhead supervised the
6.
lighthouses of the region to make sure that they all ran properly.
Muirhead looks for clues. He starts by inspecting Eileen Moore's 2 landing sites, each on opposite sides of the island. There is nothing amiss at the eastern dock. All gear is accounted for, and the site seems structurally sound. But on the western side, he finds something intriguing.
He found some fishing equipment that had been terribly damaged and broken, and the railing around the dock had been mangled and twisted.
Muirhead also notices several ropes strewn about. These ropes were normally kept in a wooden crate above the dock. Based on findings, the superintendent comes up with his own theory. He suspects a fast-moving storm with high winds descending on the island. From the lighthouse, the men heard the crate that held the ropes slamming against the dock, so they rushed outside to secure it.
In the chaos of this moment, they left their food as it was, they left their boots, they left their coats.
And while they were down at the dock, Muirhead believes a low breeze swept the men out to sea.
Weather patterns are very unpredictable in these types of areas, and this really would have accounted for the damage that Muirhead had found there on the island.
But not everyone agrees with the superintendent's theory. No experienced lighthouse keeper would rush into a storm without a coat and boots. Nor would they ever willingly let the lighthouse unmanned. And there is still no explanation for the eerie message in the logbook or the clocks stopping. So the mystery of the missing keepers endures to this very day.
This island for centuries had been shrouded in all these different tales and legends. So all of a sudden you have an actual event that made this an even more tantalizing story to tell for future generations.
Today, this Fresnel lens, just like the one found at the Eileen Moore Lighthouse, is on display at the Montauk Lighthouse Museum in Montauk, New York. It's a reminder of the strange fate of the 3 keepers who somehow vanished without a trace. On February 14th, 1929, 7 Chicago mobsters were gunned down by men from a rival gang disguised as the police.
Potatoes,
The
some
brutal
other
killing
green
is
thing.
known as the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Today, documents relating to infamous incidents like this can be found at the Cook County Records Storage and Digital Imaging Center in Cicero, Illinois. But among
We
the
received
1
no
million
orders.
boxes of court files that are held here is a single item that chronicles
All right.
a particularly haunting tale.
The artifact consists of a brown folder full
Better
of
get
sheets
to
of
it then.
paper.
Yes, sir.
There are words such as arrest, homicide, fire, and occult. The artifact looks like it belongs in a police station.
This case file recalls a murder investigation with the unlikeliest of accusers.
This is a story of homicide, possession, and poltergeist.
February 21st, 1977.
All
Chicago,
right.
Illinois. Detective Joe Secure
Dougie.
just arrived at a crime scene in a high-rise apartment building.
Pa.
Joe Stachola worked in the homicide division. He was dedicated and experienced.
One of the units had recently gone up in flames, and in the ruins of the apartment was the body of a tenant, 47-year-old Teresita Bassa.
Teresita immigrated from the
Wow.
Philippines. She worked as a respiratory therapist at a local hospital.
Alrighty.
But the fire isn't what killed her.
Have a
She'd
good
been
one.
stabbed in the chest.